This campaign is called Tough Times from the Heart, giving a greater awareness around suicide prevention. And this is Dr. Skye Kinder. And Skye is a regional mental health professional, and she's got a real passion around showing people that there is help for them and changing the way that we talk about suicide. How have you seen the conversation around suicide change in the last few years?
I think that there is a lot more awareness around suicide, more work to be done in terms of awareness, and definitely more work to be done in terms of stigma. But I think there is more awareness that this is an issue that actually can affect anyone in the community. This isn't something that just happens on the fringes of society, which I think was a view that was held previously. And I think that there is a lot more conversation about what needs to be done to reduce, the impact of suicide, and what services need to be available as well.
It's such an isolating thing for people that are struggling, and they're not thinking clearly, and for them, they feel cursed. It's their fault. They brought this on themselves, or that they just will not be able to get out of it, And I've heard other people talk about it before. It's almost as though the good bits about them have been scooped out, or a switch has been flicked, and they're no longer the person they used to be. They've changed into something else, and they don't think they'll ever be able to get back there. Do you hear that kind of thing?
We do. I think one thing that's important to mention though as well is that what this looks like for each person can be quite different. And so that's certainly one type of experience that people can have. But for other people, it doesn't necessarily look like that. And for some people, it might be, a moment of extreme overwhelm in the context of a lot of really stressful circumstances. And I think it's important as well that we normalise that whatever this does look like for you, there is help out there, and you don't have to fit, into a certain box to again be deserving of that care.
Yeah, that everyone needs it.
Yes, absolutely.
From time to time, but we're so reluctant. I think particularly in the country areas, and I'm from a country background myself. I think people are so reluctant to lean on other people, and to make that first approach. How do you see the difference between the country and the city?
Look, I think the country actually has a lot of strengths insofar as I think one thing that we know really assists people in terms of recovery from mental illness is a sense of community. And, when it comes to the regions, where do you have a better sense of community than some of these, regional rural towns across the state? That's a resource I don't think we utilise enough. And I think that's what's great about some of these local organisations that we do have, is that they're really about fostering that sense of community for people and reducing that sense of isolation and drawing on the strengths that are readily available, freely available, in fact, in many cases.
There's that feeling, I think, that people are in that situation, that it is going to last forever. Like I said about that switch, that it is just going to last from there, and that other person is just kind of gone.
Yes.
And they, I was describing it to somebody that, that they feel bad for a week and they think, oh, this isn't a lot of fun, this isn't great. Then they feel bad for a month.
Yes.
I think, oh my God, this is awful. Then it's 2 months, and then it's 3 months, and it's just not improving. And then they just don't think that, what is the point of life if this is life?
Yes. Well, I think what that raises is a really important point, which is that getting help early is really important. A lot of people often don't get help early on because they think things to themselves like, I'm not that bad, maybe this will pass. As you say, a week can turn into a month, can turn into a year. And all of a sudden people realise that things are in quite a difficult situation. Supporting people to feel okay about reaching out early, and in fact getting ahead of the ball game, if you want to put it that way, circumnavigating the illness before it, stopping it before it starts, is a really great approach. But I think something that people don't necessarily know that they're allowed to do, that it's okay to come in before you're feeling your worst, so that we can actually stop you from getting to a point where you do feel your worst.
It's almost something that needs to be taught in schools, isn't it?
Yes.
How to be a good listener.
Yes.
I think we spend a lot of time sometimes in school learning about communicating.
Yes.
And I think this is one of the things with social media. We're all trying to become experts on communicating and telling our story. Whether it's taking a photo in front of a beach or something, we're trying to tell our story. But that sort of lovely ancient art of just
Yes.
shutting up for a second and listening to what the other person is saying.
Yes. And I think there are a lot of people out there who are worried that if they have these conversations, they might put ideas into people's heads. If I ask somebody if they're okay, if they're thinking about suicide, will I make them think about it if they weren't previously thinking about it before? But the research is very clear that that's not the case. And in fact, what we know is that a lot of people are relieved when somebody finally asks the question. So feeling empowered to be able to ask is really important. There is a lot of fear around asking, and I think that's what we need to address.
So somebody's watching this right now and they're really struggling. What do you think the first thing they should do is?
Yeah, I think the first thing to do is find somebody that you trust and let them know that you are struggling at the moment.
You're not a burden.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whoever you are deserving of care.